we are joined by, as we get close to Veterans Day, Vince Vargas, former U.S. Border Patrol agent. His book, Borderline, Defending the Home Front, has an inside look at the U.S.-Mexican border through the eyes of a former U.S. Border Patrol agent who also served in Iraq and Afghanistan. Vince, I'm sure you're seeing and hearing all of the discussion about fentanyl coming across our southern border and the impact it's having in the country. If you were given the opportunity to address this issue, what is the best way to try to make the border more secure and also stop the flow of illegal drugs through our country? What should happen? What would work based on your experience?
That's a loaded question and complex as it comes, but it's multiple different layers, right? We are incentivizing a lot of the illegal immigration that comes across. And so when you do that, it causes mass influx, which actually makes it harder to stop things like drug smuggling because the inundated agents on the border don't have enough personnel to cover everything. On top of that, it's Chinese drugs kind of are coming across. It's been proven to come across up through the southern border and through the cartels, who even the cartels themselves are not happy about at the moment, but they're still making money off it. And so it's a very complex question. Comes down to just securing our borders better, right? Having more personnel on the borders, having more support systems on the borders, as well as, this whole thing with the illegal immigration of bodies just creates more chaos down there, so it's harder to manage.
Vince, it's Buck. Thanks for being with us, and appreciate your service with the Army 75th Ranger Regiment in Iraq and Afghanistan as we're looking at Veterans Day here tomorrow. You might have heard in the debate, and it's come up actually before as well with some of these candidates, the idea of using U.S. military special forces to go after the cartel leadership and, the most violent arms of the cartels in Mexico. What do you think about that as somebody who's been both on the Border Patrol side and a part of special operations?
Yeah, that's an interesting take on the whole thing. When I hear that, it's a little confusing and not sure how I'd want to address it. To be honest, Mexico is a counterpart of ours. Obviously, we share a border together. I'm always curious to why Mexico doesn't take a stronger stance, but as well as in like deterring the cartel. But I also know the corruption and what happens when someone does stand up against a cartel. They're easily just taken out or killed, and then someone else has to take that place. And so for having us do the work, or at least military moving into that space, I think it could be effective, yes. I get my concern is I don't think so much on the military-only mindset anymore, being the fact that I worked on the border and understanding that mission. There's also the humanitarian side of the whole border side that becomes a question. And so I think, whatever means necessary it takes to control the smuggling side of the world would be what we should look at. Using special operations, obviously, they get the job done. It comes down to, is the country of Mexico really interested in us being a part of that and wanting to support and help them, or is it just kind of lip service when saying that? And so that's really my whole thought process of keeping the relationship between us and Mexico in a good standing, so it doesn't cause further issues, because they are a neighboring country of ours, and I think keeping that relationship is super valuable and important.
We're talking to Vince Vargas, former U.S. Border Patrol agent, soldier as well. Book is Borderline, Defending the Home Front, an inside look at the U.S.-Mexico border. Given what's going on with the resurgence of terrorism in the Middle East and how wide open our southern border is, how concerned are you about some of these terror groups sneaking people across our southern border in order to do terror attacks here in the United States? Based on your experience as a Border Patrol agent, do you think that's likely to happen? Do you think that is happening? And how much of a concern would it be for you?
Yeah, I've lived on both sides of this kind of conversation, and it's very, very fascinating. Because of my experience in the military, I always have known that there are people that come from that are smuggling in through the southern border that are connections to Iraq and Afghanistan. So that's something that is known, and so I've always had that in the back of my mind. The concern is with the massive influx of illegal immigration that happens and the lack of really documenting or knowing who is coming across. definitely raised the question. We know it's a weak point. They know it's a weak point. And so they're definitely using it as a means of entering people who probably should not be in our country. That doesn't mean that some of the people coming across are have good intentions. They're just doing it wrong. But there is small pockets of those individuals who are coming that definitely have ties and connections to terrorist organizations. That's proven. There's some that we have caught already. And so that's concerned. It makes me feel as if there's a potential, and this is, the side of the tactical brain of mine would say the potential for America being the next, Trojan horse, if you will. We are taking on a lot of illegal immigrants that we can't identify who they are, which raises the question, what is the intentions of some of these individuals? And so, that is always going to be something of concern. I think why we have Homeland Security stood up after 9/11 and why we need to start addressing the massive influx of immigration that's happening currently.
As we approach Veterans Day here again, thank you for your service in the Ranger Regiment, Vince. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.